Mm. Red wins. Fatality.
So I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Tonight, Deana's first meeting. Let's take a look at the first meeting that freshman newly elected Councilwoman Deana Robinson led tonight. Good evening, folks. Good evening. Good evening. I'm Freddie Vasquez, Basement Politics Unfiltered. Tonight, the city council had a meeting led by Deana Robinson of the 1st District. Deana Robinson was just, she's newly elected. This is her first term. She took over Shanae Williams' old spot. Williams is now up at the county. But she didn't leave Deana behind, who Deana was Williams' aide while she was a councilwoman. And she remains Shanae Williams' aide up at the county. So that's her full-time job, and her part-time job is councilwoman of the 1st District. So if you are looking to get a hold of Deana Robinson during the week, and all you can get is her legislative aide, well, call Shanae Williams' office, because you will have no choice but to speak to Deana, as she's her legislative aide, right? So she will be handling. So you can say, hey, Deana, while I have you on the phone here, I have some issues to discuss regarding District 1, right? There you go. I would have played a meeting here. Deana Robinson is the chair of, I believe it's called the Mental Health and Human Services Committee, which, I'll talk about this in a second, but she is newly elected. This is her first term, and she's already the chair of a committee. Yet, Moranti, Corazon Pineda Isaac have no committee to chair. They've been there much longer than Deana Robinson, and I believe that you shouldn't give a freshman council member a committee to chair. They need some time to gain experience, learn the role that they're in, how to conduct themselves, and how to be professional at all times. You have to be able to restrain yourself from wanting to show your emotions and how giddy you are, right, at your new position. Take a look at it.
I know I'm supposed to be super serious right now, but this thing is cool. I like this.
Deana, really? Really? I know you're supposed to be super serious right now, but you really like that, so you're playing with the gavel. This is your first meeting that you're leading. This has been the problem with the Yonkers City Council, the lack of professionalism. People not conducting themselves in a manner becoming of a council member, an elected official. This is not high school. This isn't the debate team. You know, we need more professionalism, and this has been the issue here in the city of Yonkers. When we speak about Tasha Diaz.
Okay, calling this meeting to order. Today is February 6, 2024. This is the Community and Mental Health Services Committee. My name is Deana Robinson, council member for the 1st District. In attendance, we have Council President Lakeisha Collins-Bellamy. Corazon Pineda Isaac is in the building, and I believe will be attending.
Corazon Pineda Isaac is in the building, and I believe she will be attending. She did attend a meeting eventually, but I would imagine that she wanted to wait as long as possible before sitting next to Tasha Diaz, because after everything that's been reported on over the past week, they still have them sitting next to each other. Come on now. It's like two students who can't get along in class. You have to separate them. What if she just leaned over and slit her throat? I don't know why they put them together, but I believe she didn't want to sit down right away.
We have Majority Leader Tasha Diaz for the 3rd District, Majority Whip John Rubo for the 4th District, Minority Leader Breen for the 5th, and of course, Councilmember Moranti for the 6th.
Don't be so enthusiastic there, Deanna.
We can, I guess, begin with item number 1, introduced by Council President Lakeisha Collins Bellamy, a local law amending section C14-20 entitled Reserve of Part E, entitled Office of the Human Rights and Affirmative Action of Article, XIV of the Charter of the City of Yonkers, entitled Department of Parks, Recreation, and Conservation. And I believe Director of Human Rights Commission, Mark Fang, was supposed to be here to speak on the item, but unfortunately could not make it. So I believe we're going to hold this in committee and call another meeting soon.
Where's Mark Fang at?
Moving on to the second item, a local law amending Chapter 58 of the Code of the City of Yonkers entitled.
So this was introduced by Corazon Pineda Isaac, right? This is legislation that they should be introducing more of, right? This entire meeting highlights the treatment Isaac has been receiving since the mayoral elections. Remember, she ran against Mayor Mike Spano in the Democratic primary. Corazon, the only Latino member of the council of a city with over 42% of Latinos and growing. She is the only, not Diaz. Diaz is a Freeman. She's not Hispanic. Corazon is the only Latino member of the council in a city that's over 40-something percent Latinos, second largest in the city of Yonkers, and it's growing. We're getting a larger population from Washington Heights. Shout out to the Dominicanos. Big up to you guys. A lot of Dominican-owned businesses are popping up. And obviously, we're getting Venezuelans as well from the border, right? Yet she's the only one. This should make every Latino in Yonkers upset. And she should also have chaired the education committee, I believe, as our school district is over 60% Latino. And she speaks a hell of a lot better than the current chair of the education committee. Yet she was not given a committee to chair. Deana Robinson was. Her first term, going into the second month, or we're in the second month now of her first term, and she's already chairing a committee and leading the meeting, and it's obvious that she needs some time to grow into the position. She has a learning curve, which is why at least this committee that Deana is chairing should have gone to Corazon. But this is obviously part of the treatment that she's now receiving because she ran against the mayor and she is on the outs. The only Latino. And this is how they're treating her. I asked Tasha supporters to list one accomplishment that can be attributed solely to the majority leader. What legislation has she introduced that was for the purpose of benefiting the people and only the people of the city of Yonkers? Today, Corazon, one of only 2 council members, the other being Moranti, who do not chair a committee, introduced legislation based on the needs of not only her constituents, but also all of Yonkers residents, and it was not received well. Further displaying the animosity towards Isaac, this legislation, unlike ones introduced by other council members, again, is for the people. It's not legislation to extend terms. It's not legislation to give them raises. It's not legislation like Mike Breen introduced to reduce the requirement of any candidate applying for the position of building department commissioner. That didn't serve the people. Look what happened. Look at the mess with Sam Borelli in the building department. That made a lot of people's life hell. And that's what they receive well. That's what they vote on. That's what they all support. These legislations that do not benefit the people. But here, Corazon is concerned with issues related to housing. many complaints from people in the first, second, and third, and throughout the city of Yonkers with the condition of the buildings that they're living in. So she looks to introduce legislation to address these issues, and it's not received well. Not one council member supported Corazon in this legislation. Tasha Diaz, many people are complaining in her district. There are broken windows causing apartments to become cold. There's no heat in many of the buildings. There's mold, rat infestations, but it's not just the low income or the affordable housing that are experiencing rat infestations. You can see them all through the waterfront. I've posted videos of them. I had someone reach out to me in regards to the rat infestation down at the waterfront apartments. So let's take a look, listen to what she introduced.
Housing and Building Maintenance Code in relation to indoor asthma allergen hazards in multiple dwellings. This item was introduced by Corazon Pineda Isaac, and I believe we have acting Deputy Commissioner of Housing and Buildings, Tony Landy, here to speak on this item.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming, sir.
You're quite welcome, Madam Chairman, Honorable President, members of the council. We're here today to discuss Chapter 58, Amendment to the Housing and Building Maintenance Code. I have with me Pat Lasco. Pat Lasco is the supervisor of housing for our department. And we took some time out today to read through this. We have a few comments that we'd like to make, and perhaps with your permission, some minor changes that will make the will make this a little easier for us, quite honestly. It has to do, if you look at the beginning part of Section 2, which is the definitions, one of the definitions is indoor mold hazard. Part of that indicates that we were to look at the mold within the wall cavities. We're not too sure what the intent of that was, but if you're asking us to punch holes in the wall to get behind the cavities, it may be a little difficult for us to do that.
So again, they're being resistant to this legislation introduced by Corazon Pineda Isaac, which benefits the people of the city. Tom Landy, who is the acting building department commissioner, now that Sam Borelli was outed because of complaints by Sam Dudall to the IG that have yet to be investigated. Now Tom Landy is taking over, which I hear he's going to be retiring soon. He's going off to the Carolinas where he's got his retirement home. And I hear that his health isn't in the best condition. But here he is doing what he is being told. Resist this legislation by Corazon. We don't care if it benefits the people. We don't care if there are people in the city of Yonkers living in buildings with mold in them. And so he's saying, what do you mean? We have to punch holes in walls? We can't go around doing that. Well, you don't have to do that, because I've been to people's apartments where the mold is very visible. All you have to do is be able to see. As long as you're not blind, you'll know that it's there. You can smell mold at times. You can smell the moisture. I've seen people living with black mold in their apartments. Yet they have not received violations, no building department threatening to shut them down, no building department threatening to get a warrant to go into their property to inspect. And why is that? Because many of them are owned by prominent individuals. Some of them are elected officials or city employees or friends or AKA developers and real estate investors, many who have ties to the building department, who have had relationships with Sam Borelli. And that's why it needs to be investigated. But why is he resistant to this legislation, which is for the benefit of the people, their health? People who don't have a lot of money, who can't hire attorneys, the disenfranchised, the marginalized, the impoverished folks of the city of Yonkers, which are the majority. Yet they can pass legislation to extend term limits, give themselves raises, and reduce requirements for positions within the city so that they can get their buddies who are unqualified, uneducated, and undeserving of the position in there. And this is what it is with Tom Landy also. No diss to you, Tom Landy. But you don't know a lot about the building department because one time you gave me wrong information. You told me I did not need a permit to change the outlet plates. And so based on your recommendation, I went and did that without a permit. And I would imagine as a deputy mayor at the time, you would know, and now they're putting you as the building department commissioner. You were also at the school that they're building, the site there. So I just assume you knew something when it came to construction and permits here in the city of Yonkers. So I was given the wrong information.
So I need for you to kind of take a look and see what was meant by the terminology wall cavities. Okay?
What do you mean?
As far as the definitions go, there is a definition for visible mold. We request that you add a couple of words to that to make it easier for our inspectors to look at. It should be visible mold-like substance.
So why don't you guys just make the changes and move forward with it?
Okay. I'll be glad to give this to you. We have to make these changes.
Be able to hear it.
You know, that sounds like the BS that they gave me when I was trying to get my C of O over on Lockwood. Why don't you, change this here to be like this? Maybe, you got to do it like this. All right. And give it to your architect and then give it back to us. Do that. And you give it back to them. And then they mark it all up with new shit. Because these are knuckleheads. Unqualified knuckleheads who are there because they are part of a system that has held the city from truly progressing naturally, organically, in the way that it should. And here we are now progressing with taller luxury buildings that are being built poorly. Okay, let me tell you, they're not luxury. They're luxury in price. They're luxury in look, appearance, possibly, but the quality is low. They are skipping out on a lot of things. They're cutting corners a lot of places. And they're getting away with that because, again, they have bought out the building department. That's why it needs to be investigated, Liam.
For you. In the proposal, there were just a couple of these. Okay, we went 2 other words to and look at some C department, but I don't know what a try to change the.
Look at all that stuff that he's complaining about. Really, he's just making it difficult for this legislation to get passed. He's stalling because it's Corazon Pineda Isaac who introduced it. It doesn't matter if it benefits the people. Now they're playing with it like a political football. So again, they don't put the people first.
Day between heat complaints, we get anywhere from 50 to 100 calls a day between heat complaints, rusty water, rat infestation, mice infestation, water damage, ceilings and walls. You name it, we get it. We also get the complaints from Lagging, which is the mayor's helpline, which runs anywhere from 25 to 35 complaints a day on top of the phone calls that we receive. In the last 5 weeks, since January 1 to today, we're running about 500 to 600 complaints that we've handled already in the department. And that's just stuff that we've entered into our software system, Municity 5. And the other stuff we handle, we just go out and do the inspections. And if it's an actual complaint, then we'll put an actual complaint in and verify it once we verify that complaint. So we are very busy in the department.
How many inspectors do we have in the housing? How many inspectors do we have in the housing?
I have 6 inspectors underneath me.
You don't know, Tom?
And 1 inspector handles most of the summonses that the department handles. And in the past 3 weeks, 4 weeks, we've pulled in close to $100,000 in revenue from the summons that this department has written.
Thank you, Pat. So we're not against this. We just need a little clarification.
Yes, you are against it because it's Corazon who introduced it. And I don't care about defending Corazon necessarily as I care about the people who this would benefit. I've seen it myself personally. People have contacted me because of heat complaints, mold, leaks, repairs that need to be done that have been left like that for years. And complaints are not answered. They reach out to their representative. They don't respond. They don't respond at all. And so, again, here they are introducing real legislation. This is part of their job. To those who say that Tasha does a great job, why isn't Tasha supporting this when many people in her district are dealing with these problems? Why isn't she getting that attitude and that aggression to say to them, hey, I don't want to hear all of these, excuses. I don't want to hear this. There are people that are having issues in their buildings. They're not getting heat in the winter. They're living with mold. People have asthma and other respiratory problems, yet they are forced to deal with this because no one's enforcing it. We need to enforce it. You need more inspectors? Then we need to hire some, because he says already in 1 week they wrote $100,000 in violations. Well, that's 2 inspectors right there for the year. Right? So hire more inspectors, give out more violations, get more money. We need to pay for these raises the council just got. So we got to hustle, guys. But no, they rather give us traffic tickets, those camera tickets, than give out violations to these slumlords and to these developers, the rich people, the people that got it. And that's a problem. And that's the point I make. They don't represent the people. Where's the legislation to benefit the people? Here we are. We see one being introduced, and they're resistant to it. Let's hear what Corazon had to say.
I'm going to show you. Okay. Thank you. Any questions?
Councilmember Pineda Isaac.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Firstly, congratulations on your first meeting. Commissioner, I think that your recommendations are welcomed, and I absolutely want to make those necessary changes because my goal is to make it possible for you guys to implement or to be able to enforce this as much as possible, given your limitations, given the amount of work and complaints and issues that you guys receive. I'm very much aware of that, and I respect that you guys do what you can with the resources that you have. Just want to step back a little bit. Won't create static. And the origin of this legislation came about because my office would receive complaints regarding people having what they believe to be mold and what, in my belief, in my lay eyes, looked like mold. And then we received the communication that there was no mold regulation in place in the city that could allow us to kind of move forward to a next step. And that was received, by the director of constituent services. And I just remember thinking like, oh my God, how can that be when some of these cases felt so obvious? So my intent is just to put something there so that when these cases come and when the inspection is able to be made, we can follow through with a summons. And I'm sure there have been moments where the inspector has come in and seen what he believes to be mold, and I'm sure summons were issued. It's just I wanted to just have clear language that says, we're going to do everything possible to try to address it as best we can. I welcome your recommendations. I would like to replace it to visibly mold-like substance. I think that's great. And with regards to the wall cavity, I'm going to relook at that. I don't remember what the intent is. I don't foresee you guys breaking walls to look at mold. I think the goal.
So basically, she's saying, this needs to be done. There are many people who are complaining about it. This is a real issue here in the city of Yonkers. I've myself have gotten complaints. I see people commenting about lacking heat in their buildings. Many senior buildings are without heat. Many seniors probably are living with all kinds of mold and they don't even realize it. And these individuals are able to get away with this because they are wealthy. They contribute to campaigns. They get protected. Legislation comes before the council that benefits the people of the city of Yonkers to address issues that have been complained about for a very long time by many people. And how do they receive it? Resistant to it, giving many excuses, making it difficult for it to get passed. And now one council member steps up in support of it. Now one council speaks up besides Corazon, who introduced it, and says, you know what, I'm in support of this. I think we definitely need this legislation on the books. We need to do something to address all of the complaints, the health hazards that people are living with right away, because that's what we are here to do. But nothing. Doesn't go as smooth as the raises, doesn't go as smooth as the term limit extension, doesn't go as smooth as all the zoning changes that benefit the developers. That's my point. Who is representing and fighting for the people? They want $100,000 a year, but you're not fighting for the people. Deana Robinson is getting $15,000 extra just to lead this meeting. And what was accomplished? What did she do to earn an additional $15,000 of taxpayer money? No diss again to you, Deana. It's not personal. I would be saying that for any new council member sitting up there chairing a committee when two veteran council members are without one. One of them being the only Latina or Latino member of a council that represents a city that will be primarily Latino in the next 10 years. That should make a lot of Latinos upset. A lot of you business owners, Latino business owners, especially you coming to the city as a Dominicana. What's up with that? We have to learn to stick together, Latinos and Blacks. We have to learn to do that because they then divide us a lot easier. And who's representing us? Who's representing the Blacks that are being pushed out of the Northwest side? The small businesses that have been forced closed. The shakedowns by the building department. And it's not just Blacks, it's not just Latinos, there's also many members of the Arabic community who are coming here, starting up businesses, many from Yemen, even Palestine. Who's representing you? Or do you have to pay to play? Speaking of Palestine, it's going to be a rally tomorrow. Yonkers All Out for Palestine, Wednesday, February 7th at 4 p.m. at Vanderdonk, is that park near Yonkers Board of Education. This is from Obai, Westchester for Palestine. A message to the Yonkers Board of Ed: a free Palestine is not anti-Semitic. Yonkers schools, stop discriminating against students who stand up for Palestine. Yonkers City Council, we demand a ceasefire resolution now. Well, maybe Lakeisha Collins-Bellamy could add that to the resolution. She recently presented to save St. Mary's. But again, no diss to Lakeisha even. Where's the resolution for a ceasefire? You guys put resolutions for St. Mary's. Is it because you care about the church? You care about all of the parishioners, or the prominent parishioners that attend there that are connected to the city? But they're still going to push that out, and they're still going to get it closed down, because at the end of the day, that's a great location for a new development, and that's what's going to happen there. But if you're interested in attending, it's going to be tomorrow. Support of Palestine. Many of the new members of our community who are who are Arab support Palestine. If you go into their stores, you can see flyers and stickers saying "Free Palestine." We support Palestine, and I support you guys. I do. Not anti anyone else. It's getting very tough here in Yonkers, as we've seen also a large. I'm not saying tough like because of the Jewish community, but I mean because we have the two, communities that are growing here, and we saw what happened over at Roosevelt High School. And so we don't want to have any conflicts here in our own city brought on by national issues. We have our own conflicts to deal with, and we all need to get along. And that starts at the top. Our leaders, you are responsible for unifying the city. Mayor Mike Spano and company up in Albany today, fighting for more money from the state. This is a yearly thing. They went up with the interim superintendent, Mr. Rodriguez, Dr. Rodriguez, along with parents and students of the Yonkers Public Schools to beg for more money. Did Tasha, the chair of the Education Committee, attend? Was she up there begging for more money? Why do we have to beg every year for more money? What does that mean for our students who attend the public schools? Shirley Mayer, chair of the Education Committee at the state, Senator Mayer. So there's the delegates again. But what does that mean for our Yonkers public schools? They're still lacking so much. Many of the schools don't have PTAs. Many of the kids are not able to go on trips because there's no money. They can't pay for the buses. Programs are shut down because there's no money. They can't pay for the equipment. Instruments have to be donated from other districts because there's no money. Yet and still, the Yonkers City Council can afford to give themselves extremely high raises. Extremely high raises. To chair a committee, you get $15,000. It used to be $5,000. So it didn't go up to 10. No, it went up to 15,000. So Deana Robinson getting $15,000 just for sitting there. 15,000 additional dollars, added to their base salary. And so to punish Corazon Pineda Isaac and Moranti for running for mayor and other things, not only did they have their legislative aides fired, they were also not given a committee, thus not allowing them to make an additional $15,000. That's what that's all about. It makes no sense to give it to the new council member who is obviously still learning not to play with the gavel, especially during a live meeting. Should have saved that before you went live. Got it out of your system. Come on now. What's going on here? Hey, remember this guy, Elliot Engel? Well, he's endorsing George Latimer for Congress. George Latimer is going up against Jamal Bowman. Bowman fell out of favor with folks. Remember when he had that beef with Mike Spano over the comments? Which I don't believe they were racist, but there were statements put out asking the mayor to apologize for them. There are a lot of other things, and this is why I disagree. And maybe this is why some people in the community don't like me when I disagree with, like the Yonkers NAACP. And it's not personal. And I always say hello, to Reverend Coleman. Keisha, I don't know about you. Keisha, I don't know about you. You? I don't know about you. You're all in the mix all the time. But my issue with them is it's not, you guys don't really represent or fight, for blacks here. There's so much going on, but you select certain issues like supporting Jamal Bowman, who seems to be fine, doing pretty well in life, but it's a national headline You can attach yourself to it, like the Roosevelt incident, which I think sucks because you just like skipped over a bunch of other cases of discrimination that have occurred here in the city within the public school district, Board of Ed, just to touch on this one national issue. And you didn't even get the guy his job back. Where's the protest? Where's the rally? So again, you know, I'm not about the half stepping. As you can see, I don't half step. I commit, I go all the way. If you can't do that because you have to play nice, then maybe you have to give it to someone who's willing to do what needs to be done. I'm just saying. And this goes for all advocates and leaders of the community who say you represent the community, but you do it in a way that you don't want to ruffle feathers. And so you avoid a lot of issues and things that need to be addressed. That's not cool. Because at the end of the day, by playing the game that way, you're really benefiting yourselves. Right? Obviously, I'm not here for a benefit. I didn't get named to a committee. I don't have a city job. I don't have grant money coming to me. Because I believe in doing what's right. And that's what's speaking, and it's speaking up for the people. The people who can't speak up. And it's time that, you know, people start to point out, because if you stay quiet, you're just as guilty. You're just as culpable. And so that's my issue. So many blacks have complained about discrimination within the city of Yonkers employment. That should be one of your main things that you guys are talking about. I mean, you know, it would benefit so many blacks if they were to be, you know, hired more. They were put in positions of leaderships in different departments. The only department head that's black that I could think of is Deana Robinson's dad at the Veterans Bureau, whatever, the Veterans Department. His daughter's already benefiting from the city and other family members. You got to spread it out. It's got to be like a rule. Only one family member can be hired by the city every so often, right? You have to wait another 5 years before another family member in your household. I mean, come on. Or maybe do a 2 family member limit. But when you got everybody in the family, mom, dad, sister, and brother, and in-laws working for the city, something's not right. And so you got to speak up about that. That's why so many blacks are still impoverished, being pushed out of the Northwest Side. Can't find affordable housing. Neighborhoods have not been improved. And sure, they're changing up parks and they're making all these improvements now, but for who? Is it because they're building these luxury developments and they're going to bring a certain class of people and they want to make sure that they have nice parks to go to? Once the buildings are all done and the people are just about here, then they'll fix all the roads so they can ride on smooth roads. Then they'll improve the schools so their kids could go to better public schools and have everything that Bronxville Public School has, or Hastings Public School has, or public schools that I went to have. Right? So come on. What are we waiting for here? That's all I'm saying. The more people that speak up, the more that people that band together, it's harder for them to target people. So, you know, don't talk about it, be about it, man. And it's just phony. It's electorate's fault. You have to be politically awake for longer than the half hour it takes to go to vote. The party line once every 4 years. Go vote the party line once every 4 years. You got to get government. You get the government you deserve. That's right. You got to be involved. You got to know what's going on. Right? You got to be informed. You can't let people inform you. You have to educate yourself, because people then will tell you whatever. And so it's obvious that some people don't know any better, which is why they will support Tasha Diaz, because you can only support her if you don't know any better or if you benefit from her. That's the only 2 reasons you should be supporting Tasha Diaz. Otherwise, if you know, then you would agree that she's got to go. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered, folks. Deanna, I'm not trying to dish you, girl, but come on, man. No playing with the gavel. This is serious business, you know, and it's very frustrating because people's lives are affected greatly by our elected officials. Some of the things that they've done, in the circus that we've seen in the city council chambers, nothing getting done. Everybody thinks it's a joke. It's serious business. People have been impacted negatively because of it, and it's time that we do something about it. We're going to always keep an eye on it. As long as Basement Politics is here, Deanna, I'm watching you, girl. I'm out of here.
Ready, wins. Fatality.
Folks, I'm Freddie Vasquez. This Basement Politics Unfiltered. If you have a story to tell, if you want to expose some corruption, if you want to do a ranking on the podcast, please reach out to me at politicwithfred@gmail.com, politicwithfred@gmail.com, or if you see something somewhere that needs to be exposed, or there's rat infestation, there's mold, or your apartment is falling apart and the landlord's not doing anything about it, and you ask the building department to come and do something, the city, and they haven't done anything, reach out to me. Send me pictures, send me video, send me audio at politicwithfred@gmail.com. Again, if you have an interesting story that you want to tell, something's happened to you, you want to expose some corruption, you want to come on the podcast, reach out to me at politicwithfred@gmail.com. And to the person that emailed me, I responded to your email. Would love to have you on.
Ready.